Hi everyone. So I wasn't able to participate this week, but I took some notes on the discussion that you guys had about the three articles for this past week. Um, so the 1984 article by Gaylord and Ross was attempting to answer experimental questions. They were trying to teach autistic children to interact with their peers using the leisure activities, which was the Pac-Man, gum, and the Walkman. They identified the three participants with autism that had social skill deficits, who tended to not interact with typically developing peers. And so they trained the students to use leisure items and then taught them how to socialize with others and interactions with them. And I thought the items that they chose were pretty funny because they could tell what era they were from. And I agreed with Samantha that the gum was an odd choice because I didn't think it would necessarily spur on socialization with each other. Usually, when you have gum, you're just kind of hanging out. And I thought that Ginger provided a great summary of what they found during the study. I would probably consider using a book or a board game or even a certain toy like a dump truck or wooden blocks so that it kind of helps the students engage with others or with their peers. I agreed with Caitlin that using an item would increase back and forth with a peer, and that might be beneficial to promote them to socialize with others. And it would be great to use something that doesn't allow for isolation, like a video game or iPad. And when an item has one use, it may not promote social interactions like Dr. Dudley had mentioned. And Ginger's mention of selling the Chick-fil-A biscuits was a good example of inspiring social interactions amongst children with a deficit in socialization. Sometimes providing socializations or situations that will help engage the participants with others will most likely produce more results or results that they're looking for. The 1991 article implemented a family conference procedure to teach a social communication between children and parents with problematic situations. The families were experiencing specific issues where they were not communicating effectively, and they implemented a package to teach the family members to communicate effectively around the problems. I agreed with Caitlin that there were several parts of the procedure that were very confusing, and it was pretty difficult to follow. There was a lot of back and forth factors where it seemed to take a lot of time as well. I thought it could be difficult to implement these procedures strictly due to time constraints, which can result in a lack of efficiency. There were definitely a lot of resources invested in the article, and I thought it was a good idea to write the problem down on a card and place it in the box to discuss later so that they remember what had happened that spurred on the issue. The third article took 3 students with disabilities and paired them with 3 peers to measure what they were trained in versus what they weren't trained in. And the authors found that the trained games initiated more social interactions. The games that they were not trained in, they found no increase in social interaction, which makes sense. I agree with Dr. Dudley that the results made sense because the more we know about a certain topic or activity, the more likely we are to engage in discussion with peers or just with others in general. I've even had trouble engaging with others when I don't know what I'm talking about or how certain games are played. I'll usually come out and say I'm not sure how to play this or what the rules are. This pertains to most things in life, not just games. And I agreed with Caitlin that it really depends on the game or toys that are being used. The Legos were a great example of how playing together may not spur on social interaction because they started building their own Legos separately. Finding an activity that they're competent in will most likely definitely increase their odds of interacting socially with each other.